No! So I had my eggs hatching. It's literally 9:16 in the morning. My eggs were hatching. No! Now we're not gonna get to see them hatch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I tried. Game crashed. We're just gonna go into Pokemon and see what we got. It was just a bunch of crap. Don't worry. A Munchlax, a Pichu, Tyrogue, Togepi, Magby, Igglybuff, Happiny, and Geodude. Crap. Alright, so we are here at the Reboot Arcade, just like we were last month, and we're going to be competing in the Twilight Cup. This is the team that I ended up going with. So we have Nidoqueen, Alolan Ninetales, Venomoth, Golbat, Skuntank, and Toxicroak. I'm feeling pretty confident with the team. I think Golbat is the only one that I have double moves for. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, this month I was trying to get away with budget stuff, and I feel like these are strong enough to be pretty good. Walden's the only one that ended up coming with me, and I don't want to leave him by himself too long, so I'm going to run back in and we'll get started. Alright guys, so for this tournament, I tried to focus more on my matches rather than actually filming my face and all that good stuff. So I didn't do a whole lot of face cam, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replay the matches and kind of commentate over them live with my voice. Alright, so for our first round, we actually got matched up with Motown's Finest. If you guys remember from our Boulder Cup video, Motown was actually the guy who won the Boulder Cup. So I knew coming into this match that I basically was going up against the reigning champion, and that it was going to be a pretty deciding first round for both of us. Now, picking my first team in round one, I literally tried to choose what he was going to be the most weak to. The problem is that he had a really solid team. He didn't have like any glaring weaknesses, but I knew that he was running Venusaur, which means that I could run Golbat and do okay with. Now that I think about it, I don't even think my Golbat had a flying type fast move. I think it had Poison Fang. Probably should have got rid of that now that I think about it, but I tried to at least play a very safe round one. Skuntank, of course, was a must for me, knowing that Skuntank is the tanky poison dark type here. Not a lot's going to be weak to it. So I chose Skuntank, and then I had Golbat for the flying type move, which I don't even think I had. And then I chose Toxicroak because Toxicroak is broken, and I knew that it would be a good choice. I don't think he had any crazy hardcore Toxicroak counters. I'm going to look up his team here in a second. So I led off with Skuntank, knowing that it would be the tankiest Pokemon that I had. Going up against Azumarill, I wasn't too worried here. The fact that Poison Jab is going to be super effective to the Fairy typing on Azumarill. His Water is going to be doing neutral damage, so I am going to be able to push just a tad bit more than him. And he only had Ice Beam. That's the only move I saw him use on his Azumarill all day, which wasn't a bad choice at all. If I would have had Crunch or Flamethrower, I would have been doing not very effective damage either way. And here we both go for the charge move there at the exact same time. I decided to shield because I want to get rid of his Azumarill hardcore with the Skuntank. I did not want the Skuntank to go down in vain. All in all, I probably could have not shielded and saved it, considering how low on damage I was. And Sableye was a great choice. I did have a flying move on my Golbat, thank you. So I went in for Golbat, and I knew as soon as I chose Golbat, I was like, oh crap, he could have Power Gem. So I'm thinking that he's going to have a Rock-type move, which I immediately used my shield so that my Golbat wouldn't die. Now, Sableye only being weak to Fairy, if I'm not mistaken, I had no answers for that. I didn't bring any Fairy-type moves into the first round, and to be honest, I don't think I had any Fairy-type moves to begin with. So I just I was literally tapping Shadow Ball there, couldn't get it off. That happened to me several times this tournament, but nonetheless, he whips out another foul play here. Toxicroak does not hold up well. He does not have good defense at all, but he counteracts that with the pure amount of fighting type moves and his attack. Getting off a dynamic punch here. Of course, he still does have his shields. He just definitely played a way better shield game than I did, and he seals the first round with a crunch. Now, knowing a little bit more about his moves and knowing a little bit more about Sableye and how it doesn't actually have Power Gem. So I think with this team, I'm thinking that he's got some ground weakness that I would really benefit if I had ground type moves. And I ended up choosing Venomoth because Venomoth's Silver Wind is actually just really good as neutral damage. It does a ton of damage as it is. And the fact that you have the chance to get the buff is just icing on the cake. So I ended up choosing Skuntank, Venomoth, and Nidoqueen. So I have two rather tanky Pokemon and one Shield Buster. So two heavy hitters and a Shield Buster, hoping that this does okay. And starting off round 2, he throws out Azumarill. Very solid starting Pokemon. I come out with Skuntank yet again. This time thinking that, okay, basically it's going to be the exact same as round 1. I'm going to save my crunch here, and I'm going to try to get 2 crunches back to back to see if that forces him to block one of them. So I ended up blocking the first one to make sure my plan goes through. I use 1 crunch. He does not block it. Almost immediately power up a second crunch. And I baited a shield. So he wants to hold on to this Azumarill very bad right here. Azumarill and Skuntank, though, I mean, it's basically literally just, it's almost a even match for me and him. I'm trying to get off one last crunch here, and I die, unfortunately. So the only thing that Skuntank is actually going to be weak to is ground type moves, but I knew that I couldn't get that off, that my Nidoqueen only having dark type moves wasn't going to do a whole lot of good for me here. So I'm just hoping that my Venomoth with this neutral damage will be able to output enough to save me. And look at that damage. That's not even with a boost. Like, that's crazy damage. I should have put more faith into Venomoth just because of its moves. Like, even without the freaking buff, like, I would have done fairly well. So here, I'm trying to get off a Silver Wind as quickly as possible. Neutral damage up against the Sableye here. He does decide to block it. So I don't even get off but like a tiny bit of damage. Nidoqueen going in. I'm using dark type moves, which I know isn't going to be good. The only thing that's going to be my saving grace is if I can get to that Earthquake. I have to get to the Earthquake and fire it off. Neither of us have any shields. Here we go. Finally get to the Earthquake. And 120 damage takes out the Sableye. Just barely getting away with round 2 there. Based on the second round, I'm feeling pretty confident with the team. I don't remember exactly what I decided to trade out here. So I end up switching out Nidoqueen for a Golbat. Knowing that his Sableye does not have Power Gem, And the fact that he is holding on to that Sableye, he knows that that's a good... It's a good Pokemon. It's good neutral damage to mostly everything. So I'm thinking that I need to have something that's good neutral damage to everything as well. So I go in with Golbat, hoping to have something a little different this round than last round, but a little surprise nonetheless. So he starts out with Skuntank here. We basically trade around. I tried to get shield advantage here. Fire off 2 crunches back to back, and it's pretty even. I'm going to go ahead and use a shield to make sure we stay as even as possible. I think he does get his crunch before I do. Yeah, he does. So he got his crunch off way before I did. I decided to shield to make sure that I could at least get off this last bit of energy. I didn't want to waste the energy. End up going for the crunch. And he goes down. So whatever he throws out here, I'm literally just going to try to get any damage off. And he does have his Azumarill. The Azumarill here is going to wreck both of my Pokemon. So Ice Beam is going to be super effective against both Golbat and against Venomoth, so I'm literally just praying that I can get off any damage and do decent damage with it. But Azumarill, just being the tank that it is, I was just hoping to be faster, which Golbat's very fast. I mean, he's super freaking fast, but he still had the shield. He wants to hold on to that freaking Azumarill. Here comes the Venomoth. And he just has too much tankiness for me. It's not actually super effective. I thought Venomoth was also flying. And boom. Down goes Venomoth. The Azumarill just was too much for me to handle. So that's a loss for round 1 against Motown's finest. The reigning champ, as my avatar did there, I will give him some claps again. Definitely a good game, I appreciated the matches, and I shiny check a Caterpie. Now, round 2, I go up against US girls. Alolan Muk, Venusaur, Venomoth. You know what? I'm just gonna read it off my phone. Alolan Muk, Venusaur, Venomoth, Toxicroak, Azumarill, and Tyranitar. Very, very respectable team. Very meta team here. Now, I'm an idiot. Let me just put that up. So, I have my phone on the table. I'm looking around the bar. I'm waiting on her to choose her team because she looks really invested. And I'm just sitting there, not even playing. She tells me once I get to about, I think it's about 1/4 of a health. No, not even 1/4 of a health. She told me fairly quickly, but I was just looking around and freaking La La Land, just being stupid. So I definitely got shafted out of a little bit of energy because of how dumb I am. Now, going up, getting this Venomoth out of the way is going to be a very tricky feat. So I need to go Golbat here, because the flying type is actually going to help me push some super effective damage. Her Silver Wind is just nuts. It's always nuts. I hate it. So I block it to make sure I don't take any stupid damage. I need to get Shadow Ball off, which honestly, I probably should have just kept pushing fast attacks and just saved this Shadow Ball. But it did end up making her waste a shield, in my opinion, there. So I end up letting my my Golbat basically go down here, not trying to waste another shield, trying to get off any damage that I can up against this Venusaur. Poison Fang would not have been very effective, so I decided to not use it. Toxicroak being the only Pokemon I have left, we start lagging. Nothing's happening, and it picks back up. We decided to not restart. There was no big deal there. I wasn't going to try to be a poor sport about losing connection. I wasn't going to be a poor sport about being in La La Land whenever it started. Trying to just push any damage that I can here. Getting off this dynamic punch does me some good. Not very effective. Let's see what her last Pokemon is. She whips out. If it would have been Tyranitar, I would have just been in awe. So hitting Toxicroak for Toxicroak in this mirror match is definitely not a good idea. She has one charge move better than me. I have no shields remaining. And she has Mud Bomb on it, which is super effective to Toxicroak. Very close first match. Very close. So, switching up the team here. I know that she is starting to... I know that she wants to use Venusaur. I know that Venusaur is a very near and dear Pokemon to her heart. Therefore, I need to start playing around Venusaur. Therefore, I chose to go in with some Ice types. Ice being super effective to Grass type, right? Somebody help me. I chose that Ice types would probably be good. Either way, the Psychic type move will definitely be super effective against her Venusaur because of the poison typing. Also the Toxicroak because of the poison typing. So I kind of felt pretty good about choosing Alolan Ninetales here. She leads off with a Azumarill. I'm feeling pretty confident about this because Skuntank is going to inch it out in front of Azumarill here. Depending on what move she has, if she has Foul Play, it's going to be a little bit different. So I decided to shield just to see what it is. It is Play Rough, not Foul Play. Don't judge. It's really early in the morning. So I'm using Crunch here. One thing that if US Girls does ever watch the video, your shield usage was not predictable per se, but you always used your shields really early. So she switches out for Venomoth, which I think was a decent idea. I think that in my opinion, when I was in the middle of the match, I thought, okay, Skuntank should be able to hold on to this pretty well. So she goes for the Silver Wind here. I decide to not block it, let my Skuntank actually go down. I go in for my Alolan Ninetales because I know that the Ice is going to be able to beat through that really fast. And let's see what her next Pokemon is. She actually throws out her Azumarill again. Going for my Psyshock here. She has no shields. Pushing just great neutral damage there. Skuntank is literally just a freaking tank. So I'm not pushing any great fast move damage. Trying to block this to make sure that my Alolan Ninetales can at least get off one more Psyshock here. Go for the Psyshock. And end up killing the Azumarill. Now I'm just trying to beat down this Venusaur. I did call the play correctly. She did have Venusaur. Pushing Psyshock. Should end up doing fairly well damage. Almost kills it there. I have no shields remaining, but I do also have one other Pokemon, so Frenzy Plant can kill me. And I whip out Toxicroak here for the win. That seals game 2. So 1-1 in round 2 here. One thing I will say that US Girls does very well is switching Pokemon out. I felt like she definitely did a better job at that than I did. I don't think I've tried to switch very many times this entire tournament, really. I think I can only think of one off the top of my head. So, there are now 2 Pokemon that I know that she is near and dear to, which would be the Azumarill and the Venomoth. The Azumarill and the Venusaur, not Venomoth. So, I tried to choose a team that work around those 2 Pokemon. I ended up going with Alolan Ninetales to begin with. She chose Venusaur, which definitely does work out in my favor. So, pushing this Ice-type fast damage, getting off the Psyshock here. And she blocks it, even though I have no shield show up on my screen. Frenzy Plant, I decide to hold out because I'm not sure exactly how much damage it's going to do. It did quite a bit. Probably should have blocked it. So I'm desperately trying to get off one more Psyshock here. I'm like literally an inch away from death. Boom. She blocks it yet again. No shield for me. I don't know why it doesn't show up. So I definitely shouldn't have wasted this shield here. It was really stupid for me to have wasted the shield. So now I'm in a weird spot because I'm either going to do neutral damage with Toxicroak or not very effective damage with Skuntank. She switches to her Venomoth here, and I tried to get off one dynamic punch. For some reason, I should have switched. I really should have switched. Not very effective, and as I'm switching, I died. I should have switched way sooner. So now she literally just tore through my Toxicroak. I now have to defeat 3 Pokemon. Well, I have to defeat 2 Pokemon. Her Venusaur is halfway dead, and her Venomoth is halfway dead. But Skuntank is going to have to do 2 Pokemon's worth of damage. And she ended up switching out at an opportune time, having her Frenzy Plant already charged up. She did very well there. I really, really do think that she was really good at switching out. So here, I'm literally hoping that it's something that's weak to Dark. And it's not. It's good old Toxicroak. So I go down in Game 3. I lose 2-1. And my record is now 0-2. So good effort, US girls. Very good, very good. That was great. Now, up in round 3. Going up against Dex Project. So Dex Project is running Umbreon, Toxicroak, Alolan Raticate, Crawdaunt, Alolan Muck, and Clefable. So the only thing that I see right off the bat is that he's very, very weak to fighting. He has very many Dark-type Pokemon, but his Alolan Muck is only weak to ground. So I chose to go in with Nidoqueen off the bat. I only wanted to try, and my Nidoqueen has freaking Poison Jab. I don't even know my own team, guys. I really stated that it had Dark-type moves earlier. Anyways, so I go in with my Nidoqueen only to charge up a Earthquake to have in my pocket whenever I need it. Going up against Crawdaunt here, I'm literally just trying to beat it down. He only had Bubble Beam on it, so it's not like it was going to be super effective to anything that I was using. Neutral damage was A-okay there. So this Alolan Raticate, holy cow, this thing was being a douche. I really wish my brother would have came to this tournament, considering, you know, we got him a team. So I'm literally just trying to use my Skuntank's last breath here to try to do as much damage as I can. I know Toxicroak is going to tear through the Alolan Raticate, but I wanted to make sure that Skuntank died with some dignity there. So he goes for a charge move here. He has Crunch. I honestly think Hyper Fang would have done a little bit better, but that's just me. So tear through that. He has Toxicroak here at the end. Now my Nidoqueen is actually going to do super effective damage to it. He ends up getting off a Mud Bomb. So I think that most of the people at the tournament were like, okay, Mud Bomb's going to be super effective against Toxicroak. If it's in a mirror match, I need to have Mud Bomb. Very, very good. That was kind of like the whole thing the whole time, except I didn't spend money on that. I could have charged TM'd it, but nah. I was okay with having counter. So I end up going down. He had an extra shield. He ended the match with a shield. Dex Project, in my opinion, was the complete opposite of US Girls. Just amazing shield usage. I feel like his shield usage was just so good. It was just really, really solid on how he chose to use his shields in certain situations. So I decide that I still need to have some ground type damage, but honestly with his Toxicroak having super effective damage to my Toxicroak, I decide to take Toxicroak out. End up going in with Skuntank, Nidoqueen, and Venomoth here. Starting off with Skuntank, going up against Umbreon. Now I'm terrified that Umbreon is going to have Last Resort, because Last Resort is going to be a neutral damage move and it actually does decent damage, I'm like, oh gosh, this is gonna suck. Oh gosh, I already took out my Toxicroak. So I'm literally like stuck in like a crap position here. I bait it out, see what it is. It's only Dark Pulse, so I'm not too worried about it. Going up against the Umbreon, it looks fairly even. We're really neck and neck here. Neither of us are going to be doing very effective damage at all. On our charge moves, at least, it just really, really sucks. I decide to eat this Dark Pulse here, hoping that I survive with just a smidge of health. We are still neck and neck. I think he's going to end up beating this. He shouldn't shield here. And his Umbreon goes down. Skuntank barely winning that. And Alolan Muck. So, this is my only saving grace against Alolan Muck. But look at the damage. Alolan Muck is just whipping this damage. So I use Earthquake because it's going to be the only thing that's super effective to Alolan Muck here. And of course he blocks it. He knows that Earthquake is just too powerful to try to tank it. It would have one-shot his Alolan Muck there. So here we go down on Nidoqueen. Venomoth whipping out. He decides to immediately switch to Clefable. Very interesting move here. So his Clefable had Zap Cannon, Zap something, an electric charge move, and then it had a Meteor Mash. So I decide to block because I just have no idea what it is at this point. Meteor Mash comes in. I don't know how much damage this is going to do, so I decide to try to tank it out here. My Confusion's not doing a ton of damage. My Silver Wind here, pushing it, get this Silver Wind off, kills the Clefable, and I get the boost. Yeah, that's right. My boost comes through. I decide to shield this. I shield his trainer from taking that trash can to the face and pushing out this freaking psychic type damage. I end up getting another Silver Wind off. Push out this freaking Silver Wind. He has no shields. He goes down and I get another boost. 2 boosts back to back. Holy cow. Like, we were both just like, what? So, it's now 1-1 going to game 3. I will say that even though I'm not doing great in the tournament, compared to the Boulder Cup, all of my games are going to a 3rd round in this. So I'm definitely doing better because Boulder Cup, I got 2-0'd several times if I'm not mistaken. So I am definitely inching my way up the ladder. I still have a ton of stuff to learn. So I'm really taking everything into consideration here. I decide to keep Venomoth in just because of how much it definitely helped me in the 2nd round there. So I end up going Skuntank, Golbat, and Venomoth for me. Up against the Crawdaunt, first thing, I'm not super worried. I've already done this once with the Dex project here. I know that my Skuntank will win this. So I'm just going to try to win this one single battle and see how that turns out. I know that he has Bubble Beam, so not going to do tons of damage to me. Getting off that crunch here. Not very effective, but Crawdaunt's defense is just not there. It's very, very weak on the defense side. Toxicroak, doing it. I just need to get off all the energy that I have stored up. I don't want it to go to waste. Bloom, and he blocks it. I don't think that he necessarily needed to block that because of it being not very effective to Toxicroak itself. So I'm pretty sure he tried to switch as soon as he used this Dynamic Punch. Or no, he had Mud Bomb, I'm sorry. As soon as he used that Mud Bomb, I'm pretty sure he tried to switch, but it's just too strong, man. So go for the Venomoth here, do some neutral damage. He blocks it. Going in hard here. That Alolan Raticate does literally chews through your Pokemon. It does so good damage. It's so fast with its bite. Super effective. And I've pretty much secured this. I still only have Golbat, but he's at full health, so I'm just going to use my shield, try to play it safe here. Hyper Fang. Boom. And a couple of flying type moves, can't even get off a charge move. And that secures round 3 for me. So, I'm now 1-2. Dex Project, that was a good game, man. It was just all over the place. Traxon was my round 4. This is the last round of the tournament. There was only 14 people that showed up. Looking at his team, he has some interesting matches. Very interesting here. Victory Bell's not common. Cacturn's not common. Haunter's not common. I used Mighty Ina for a lot of my practice runs, so I know kind of how Mighty Ina is going to work. So I'm feeling kind of weird about this matchup. I'm like, I don't really know what I should be using. So Victory Bell, I'm thinking Ice type. Cacturn, I'm thinking Ice type. Haunter, I'm thinking Ghost type. So that screams Alolan Ninetales and Golbat. Other than that, I don't really know what to use for my third slot. So I sit here and I'm thinking really hard about this, because I don't know exactly what I need to be using. Now, Alolan Raticate would be quad weak to fighting. Mighty Ina would be weak to fighting. Cacturn would be weak to fighting. So here we go. I choose Alolan Ninetales. I want to keep Golbat on the team, and I end up go with Toxicroak. So, Traxon 16 here. Let's go. So he whips out Victory Bell. Very first thing. Gonna be pushing ice damage. Not very effective. My fairy typing is gonna be just to get destroyed by this Razor Leaf. Push Psyshock here. He blocks. And Razor Leaf just tears through me. Couldn't even get off 2 Psyshocks there. So I'm thinking, what do I do? I go with Golbat because the flying type will be super effective against the grass. I decide to block this Sludge Bomb because I had no idea what it was. And just try to push this flying type damage here. Razor Leaf cutting away through me. So I'm just trying to decide if I need to go ahead and whip out this Poison Fang or if I need to charge up Shadow Ball. Based on it being Mr. Mime, I go Shadow Ball. Charge that up. Boom. He blocks it. Now, Mr. Mime is a underrated MVP. I mean, he does freaking great, dude. Watch how quickly he tears through this freaking Toxicroak. So I do shield the Shadow Ball here, since it's my last Pokemon, my last shield. So he eats my freaking Toxicroak, dude. Like, holy cow. That was quick. Mr. Mime's a beast, man. So, knowing that I now have to play around to Mr. Mime, back to the drawing board. Now, what do I choose? Mr. Mime is Psychic and Fairy, so Skuntank would be okay. Golbat would still do okay. And I'm thinking Venomoth because I kind of need to try to get this boost off if I can. So that's what I go with. Starting with Skuntank, he goes with Haunter. I have Poison Jab, so not very effective here. Yeah. Although Crunch is going to be doing super effective damage, I'm trying to just get that off as quickly as I can. He is actually going to shield it there, even though I didn't get a shield again. I don't know why it doesn't do that animation for me sometimes. Sludge Bomb. I didn't know if he was going to have Sludge Bomb or if he was going to have some Ghost move. I knew Ghost would have been, decent amount of damage. So I decided to block both because in my head, I'm thinking this is my only super effective damage that I have against Haunter. I'm trying to get off this dark move. He blocks it again. And I'm literally just hoping that I can get off one freaking crunch, and I can't. Down goes my Skuntank, and then I remember I also have Golbat, but Confusion is just freaking amazing, so why didn't I do that to begin with? But hey. So, going up against Mr. Mime, look at him, he's eating through Venomoth. That's nuts. I couldn't even get off Silverwind. Like, that actually upset me. I was like, what? Like, why? Why wouldn't you let me do it? So, we started to lag here. We're both like, something's happening, but it ended up coming back to us, no big deal. So he has no shields. I'm trying to get off Poison Fang, but it's doing that thing where it won't let me do it anymore. I know I have to wait my turn. So get that freaking Mr. Mime out of here. Going for the Victory Bell. I have no idea what to do. I have to get off a Shadow Ball or I'm gonna die. Hopefully this pushes enough damage. Do it, boy! And it does. Just barely. I barely whip out match number 2 here. Whew! So that was a close one. I kind of felt very scared because Razor Leaf would have tore through me. Now, what did I learn? So he's very, very attached to this Victory Bell. I know that he's going to be attached to it, so I need to bring something in that's going to do good against the Victory Bell. I felt pretty solid about my Golbat choice, and I think at the time I felt pretty solid about my Venonat choice as well. So I choose Nidoqueen, Skuntank, and Venomoth. I think in my head I'm thinking, okay, ground is going to be super effective against Victory Bell in a worst case scenario, and I should be able to charge one up and get that off. We lost connection, no big deal. Get back into it. Same exact team. Let's go. Going up against Haunter first thing. I do have Poison Jab, so I'm not feeling too great about this. I literally just want to try to get my freaking Earthquake charged up, save as much health as I can, and then I want to switch off of this. So go in for Venomoth, tear through this Haunter. It's going to tear through it really quickly. He only has a poison type move, but I tried to shield it to make sure that I could guarantee that my Venomoth would stay alive longer. Up against the Mr. Mime, this bug type move, I'm really hoping for a boost. I'm hoping. He blocks it, no boost, and I go down. Need to go for Skuntank here. Get off some flippin' dark type moves. And I eat a Shadow Ball. Not very effective though, so I'm not too super worried about it. He's going down pretty quickly with the poison type fast move. Get off this crunch. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he blocks this. Yeah, if he wouldn't have blocked this, this match would have went totally different in my opinion. Because then he could have turned around and he could have blocked my Earthquake against this Victory Bell. So down goes Skuntank. Out comes Nidoqueen. Shoot this freaking Earthquake off. It's neutral. Why did I think it was super effective? Either way, if he would have saved that shield off of the Mr. Mime and used it on that Victory Bell, I think he would have won because it would have been super effective damage. Razor Leaf would have been super effective. Plus, it already is an absurd move. So yeah, all in all, this is how it ended up happening. Motown's Finest ended up winning. Let's show his victory clip and him walking down to the aisle. Let's show that really fast. A very diverse group of teams, if I do say so myself. I mean, we had Mischievous, Sneasel, Arbok, Nidokings actually showed up, Gengar showed up, that's interesting, Crobat, Frostlass, Tentacruels, of course. Let's look for odd things. Cacturne was crazy. Alolan Raticate. Victory Bell was a crazy one. Mr. Mime was definitely a surprise. Dusknoir there. Clefable. Sableye, of course, did really well. Crawdaunt, interesting. There was a Drapion. I really wish I would have had my Drapion just to put him on my team. Even if I never used him. Tyranitar made an appearance. And Weepinbell, Houndoom, Ariados, Sharpedo. Knockout 72 had a very, very cool team. Very off meta, but very amazing. So, there is actually all of your rounds. You can see I lost my first one. I lost my second one. I won my third one. And then won my fourth one. Definitely at the bottom of the barrel there. It was definitely fun. Definitely an amazing experience. I do have plans to try to host my own Tempest Cup yet again. I'm going to try to host one again. If it doesn't work out, then I'm just going to resort to going to tournaments. I do have a few things planned as far as my Tempest Cup. I want to possibly live stream it. I think that would be really cool. I want to have like the finals. I want to have like the top, or at least volunteers, to put their matches on the stream. I think that would be really cool. But you know, we'll see how that works out. I definitely think it would be fun. I've got like a time slot, and I've got a location kind of scoped out to make it a lot more obtainable this upcoming month in March rather than it was this month in February. So, that is actually my entire Twilight Cup experience, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like to like videos, make sure you do that. If you don't, you could be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what I have to say down in the comments below. And until tomorrow, where we're actually going to go through the Tempest Cup, I will talk to you guys then.